We got news for you. We got news for you. We got news for you.
While they devise our demise, we grow wise. Upset the setup. The element of surprise. It's a setup. It's time to upset the setup.
Telling it like it is news. Afro Prepper. Hello, friends, family, and America. Today we have a special guest, distant relative of a person that we are, or at least the NATO forces are trying to find at this point in time. Hope you enjoy it, and hope you actually look up the stuff that he's talking about. I'm going to hand it over to him in just 1 second. Enjoy, folks. It is going to be a wild and interesting ride.
When I speak, I don't speak as a Democrat or a Republican. I speak as a victim of America's so-called democracy. You and I have never seen democracy. All we've seen is hypocrisy.
Are you sick and tired of all of this police state news? You can't do this. You can't do that. Whatever happened to freedom? Take a look at what's right here in our front lawn and ask yourself this question. Would you have liked to grown up in this type of system? Join up. Take a look. Speak with like-minded people. And be a free-autonomous. Thank you very much, Afro Prepper, for your kind introduction. This is Qaddafro, and I wanted to get into a few things with your viewing audience of why they're trying to kill me. I'm going to give you a brief history lesson, and after the history lesson, I'll tell you what I did as far as investing and who I invested with, so you'll have a grandiose picture of why they're trying to kill me. Let's get started. Obviously, in '69, I overthrew my government and I staged a military coup, and that was it. I took power. Period. That's how I do. I was 27 at the time. Then, your wonderful, illustrious Ronald Reagan, Hollywood actor, bombed Tripoli and Benghazi, similar to what's going on now, on our suspected involvement in the bombing of a West Berlin disco, which killed U.S. servicemen, and I'm severely sorry for that. As well as in '88, 2 years later after that, after the bombings on my cities, apparently I was involved in the Pan Am Flight 103 and over Lockerbie, Scotland, killing 259 passengers and the crew aboard the plane, and 11 people on the ground. United Nations Security Council evoked sanctions on my regime, and I had to give up 2 of the suspects who were, quote, involved in the bombing. So, after a visit from my local African brother, Nelson Mandela, I decided to release the 2 suspects to go on trial in Scotland for those murders and the bombing. 2003 rolled around, and Saddam Hussein, he fell, as you know, folks, and I had to pay $2.7 billion to the victims' families of the Lockerbie bombing for the Pan Am flight, and I decided to give up my weapons of mass destruction and renounce support for terrorism. Tony Blair came and met with me in 2004, and for a short while after, and convinced me to begin doing some investments with the Western banks. And these are Western banks such as, let me go through them because there's quite a few of them, folks. Quite a few. Allow me to get back to where I can name everyone that I had involvement with. I did involvement with HSBC, Goldman Sachs, also the Central Bank of Libya, and not to mention the Arab Banking Corporation, JP Morgan Chase, also other companies I invested in such as Halliburton, GE, Pfizer, and just about anybody else you can name who's robbing the American people today. I've dealt with them, and my assets are now frozen. So you can understand why they want to get rid of me. Is the picture clearing up for you now? How about some other companies? How about Nokia? How about Caterpillar? Again, ExxonMobil. That's a one I'm sure you guys are having a fun time with these days. The Royal Bank of Scotland. Royal Dutch Shell. And the list goes on and on. I can read some more to you. We have quite a bit of U.S. Treasury bonds, which means we're buying U.S. debt, and they're bombing us. We're trying to figure it out. What else do we have that we could tell you about? I have one more that I haven't mentioned. The Carlyle Group. Oh, yes. They were procured by Goldman Sachs, weren't they? Did I mention that Tony Blair, after leaving the position of Prime Minister in the UK, he decided to take a position with JP Morgan and Chase? $1 million a year position to act as a liaison to the Middle East and Northern Africa. He sucks, just so you know. I'll put all of this information in the description box for Afro. But pay attention as I read this last portion. Goldman Sachs, JP Morgan Chase, HSBC, and Societe Generale are among the major banks that have helped Colonel Qaddafro to invest some of the Libyan sovereign wealth funds, $53 billion U.S., according to a document published by the Global Witness on Thursday. Moving down, we're going to, it shows that Goldman Sachs holds $43 million in 3 accounts, and HSBC holding $293 million across 10 accounts. The Libyan fund also invested $1 billion U.S. in structured financial products through Societe Generale and $171 million U.S. worth of such instruments through JP Morgan Chase. In JP Morgan Chase, the relationship was a legacy from the Libyans' fund purchase of the investments through Bear Stearns, which JP Morgan acquired in 2008. The market value of the fund's investment fell 4.5% in the second quarter of last year, in the first quarter of $53.3 billion. The sovereign wealth fund invested $19 billion U.S. in Libyan and Middle Eastern banks, including the Central Bank of Libya, the Arab Banking Corporation, and the British Arab Commercial Bank. It also invested billions of dollars in the stocks of well-known companies, including General Electric, Halliburton, BP, Nokia, and held a large portfolio of U.S. Treasury securities. Okay? So people look up this information and really understand why they're trying to kill the real Gaddafi and get wise to what is going on. International banking cartels want to enslave you. And that's all I have. Qaddafro, and hopefully Afro will have me on here again to do another spot when those troops, which are already there, but the announcement is made. Folks, don't believe Obama. He said they'd be in Libya for a few days. It's going on a few months at this point. Get your head right. And Afro Prepper, as he says, because I do watch his videos, will catch you on the flip side.